Okay, so question 9 is with overhead. And overhead is very, very similar to labor, and so you still use standard hours, standard rate, actual hours, standard rate for efficiency variance, and rate variance. So the Warp Manufacturing Company, so we're making ski lift chairs. So, and at the end they said that they're making 32,000 ski lift chairs. And they use machine hours as an overhead base. The variable overhead standards for each chair are 1.2 machine hours at a standard cost of $18 per hour. So remember, our standard rate, they gave that to us, is $18. That's on a per unit basis. But our standard hours, they also gave it on a per unit basis, but we needed that on a total basis. So 1.2 times it by the number of units we're making. So we're making 32,000 ski lift chairs, 1.2 hours per ski lift chair. Per ski lift chair, we're making 32,000 equals 38,400 total hours that they're going to need. So if we times 38,400 times by $18 equals 691,200. Move that up. Okay. Actual hours. Okay, let's look at the Wharf incurred 34,000 machine hours. That's a total amount. Machine hours, 34,000. Standard rate is the same as I said, $18. So 34,000 machine hours. They didn't give me my actual rate, but they told me that the total overhead costs, which total overhead cost is referring to the actual hours times by the actual rate for a total overhead cost. This actual 649,400. So how do I find my actual rate? Similar to what we just did previously. We'll take the total divided by the actual hours to get an actual rate, which is $19.10. So again, we solved we did a total amount for the standard hours, and then we did a per unit on the actual rate, similar to our previous problem. And so what is the overhead rate variance? So rate variance, so we're looking at this difference. So I need to do this math. 34,000 times by $18 is 612,000, and so I'm comparing these two for my rate variance. So the difference between 612 and 649,400 is 37,400. And I always just take the bigger one minus the smaller one, just so it's a positive number, and then I just see if it's favorable or unfavorable. So actual hours are exactly the same. My standard was $18. I should have paid $18, but I actually paid $19, so that's not good to pay more than you should have, so that'll be unfavorable. So now if we look back at our quiz, maybe, so we have, let's see, 37,400 unfavorable. Very last question. Very, very good job if you stayed with me this whole time. We are back at 40. Okay. So this very last question, I already have put in the values. So again, same sort of calculation. They gave me they said that standard labor hours per unit were 1.1 hours, and we're making 8,600 units. So times that together to get a total standard hours. Standard rate they gave me, so I put it in. Actual hours they also gave me. They said actual hours worked. Pretty straightforward. They gave me a total amount. The 107,630 was a total, but they didn't give me the actual rate. So remember our formula, actual hours times by actual rate equals the total. So we'll just divide that actual hours by the total. So 107,630 divided by 9,400 gives me an actual rate of $11.45. So if we look at these totals, for an efficiency variance 109,736 compared to this one, I have 696 favorable over here, 109,040 to 107,630. I have 1,410 favorable because you're supposed to spend $11.60 and you actually spent, maybe you got a discount, $11.45. And so this is asking for a rate variance over here. 1,410 favorable rate variance over there. So that should be our last question on the quiz. So 1,410 favorable, and then you can submit your quiz. And I hope these videos were helpful for you to review with me the concepts in Chapter